Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Neffy Cat. We're so glad that you can join us today. We talked a couple of days ago about having kitty time every day in your life, and now I want us to think about something deeper even. I want us to think about what is time like for a kitty? What is time like for a cat? How do cats, like him, experience time? How do they experience that in comparison to us? There's something very human-made here that expresses human concepts of time by the year over there. Neffy definitely has distinct cycles that he has at certain times of the day, just like I do. He wakes up in the morning. He wakes up with the morning light, especially, I notice. He eats, has to go potty, becomes a little squirrel. Yes, and just like I do. Myself, I don't get up at 5. I usually get up in between 7 and 8 in the morning. And I do some of the very same things, though. He also likes to groom himself, I notice. Of course, he does that other times, too. But the morning is one of the particular times that I notice it, and I do the same thing. Of course, I don't have a kitty tongue that I use. I use a bathtub. But it's still a very similar idea to the cleaning and grooming that he does. So I have a question that I'm curious about your perspective on. Do you think that he is aware of the passage of time in a day? I think that he's aware of the passage of time myself, but I don't think, of course, that he is aware of the hour. I definitely notice him being aware of the light passage, though, very strongly. I'm actually really curious how he does experience the passage of time other than what I'm talking about. Yes, I'm wondering also, do any of you guys think that he might notice the differences in the seasons of the year? Do you think that he pays attention to an idea that there's a spring, summer, winter, fall? I don't think so. I think he notices the temperature differences, of course, and the light differences. And I'm sure he notices the differences of the environment itself around him. But I'm not sure if he notices the differences in the succession of time like we do. I'm fairly convinced in that regard that he doesn't. So what is time? Is time really this? I think if you're like me, you recognize that that's a human construction. This is a human measurement of something always taking place, and that is a process. The process itself of existence we could think of as time, couldn't we? Think of nature. Think of how a seed and the process that it goes through to grow. And I'll just use those cute little balls there, kitty little bells, to represent that. But a seed goes through a process to become a plant. We go through a process to grow. He went through a process of growth. Even the day, which today is very rainy, which is why we're inside. But even so, that daylight has a season. It has a process too. There's a continuing changing process that goes on all the time, which I think is absolutely beautiful about life. It's part of why life continues the way it does. Of course, we think of our process of the earth going around the sun or turning around its own axis as well, and we measure time by that. But that process itself, if you think about it, is the only thing that's actually real outside of human imagination and interpretation. That clock sitting down there is a wonderful symbol of how we measure time. And I kind of have a hurricane lamp here to represent the dark times of the years that people used to have. And some of you have heard of a sundial that people used to use to attempt to measure time. And the shadows that you see in this picture here, in this video here, also can show us the idea of the passage of time because they change as the sun's position changes in the sky. But I want you to think about what his point of view is. How does he actually experience the real thing? Do you think that that little mind could wrap around the idea that we do, let's say of 24 hours? I'm not sure that he could. But if we talk about the types of light, if we had words for the types of light that the day has, I think he could relate to that. And he just seems to naturally and instinctively have an awareness of that. It's really amazing. I was thinking that it would be fun for us all to comment below on the ways that we perceive, the ways that we think they experience time. Yes, look at these stars. It's a wonderful symbol of the passage of time, as the light from the stars that we have is often very, very, very old. Billions of years old. So when you see a star that is 500 light years away and pretend, which is very close, then that star is actually 500 years away, 500 years ago, that we're seeing the light from that star. Well, I just wanted to give you this to think about today. And think about that with your other animals and even the people in your life. Remember also when you were a little kid, I refer to this because oftentimes these little ones are anywhere between 2 and 3 years old mentally, where our toddlers are. Yes, he tends to stay around that age mentally. I think some kitties perhaps progress more than that too, but that's the average. And I want you to think about, what is time like for him? What was it like for you when you were that age? I remember being very confused by the idea of hours, days, weeks, months, years. It was very confusing to me at first. And I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't rather confusing for him, if we were trying to get him to understand it, instead of just being natural. If you like the content of our videos, don't forget to take those paws and paw that like button. You can paw the subscription button, and you can paw the notification bell so that you can see all of Neffy Cat's videos. Thank you all very much for your time today. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you in the next